Today we are bringing you a new pattern from Brent Schlenker that has been fishing very well. Let's check out this fly with the UV light. Here is the wet balanced leech shown with the UV light. Fish recognize the UV spectrum in shallow depths. This purple fly will also be visible in very deep water. Let's go to the bench with Brent.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another segment on the bench here. I'm going to tie one of my favorite little jig flies up. This is a balanced leech, a purple balanced leech. It's one of my favorite colors is purple. Doesn't matter if I'm fishing trout, to tarpon, or whatever. There's so many fish that love eating purple flies, and this is a real good one. So let's get a hook in the vise, tie one of these up. The UV Silex is really the key on a lot of these flies. I like using Silex with UV in it because it takes on quite a light. Fish get to see that. I'll demonstrate that with the other picture. You'll see how it looks in the water when it's wet in it. Okay, now for I don't have the pins, so I just use this here is 100-pound test bite tippet or tarpon. That fits my bead, just barely fits on that, so that's what I'm going to use. Now it's got a little bit of curvature coming off the spool, so I just keep it straight so it's pointing up a little bit, and then I'll mash it down instead of flat pliers. And then we'll tie that right on top. You can put a little bit of cement on there. JB Super Weld, kind of whatever you use for adhesives. I'll just cover that up so I don't get too much on my fingers. Take my thread out of the way for a minute. Now we'll need to get our bead on there. If you don't have a 100-pound leader, here's some 50, for example. So what I've done is I just put the torch on the end here, flared that out with a small bead, and I put my tungsten bead here with a tapered end forward, and that we can tie that on too. So that's another way of doing that with this size of bead, because you want to make sure you got enough weight there to balance this fly out. And you want to test these flies, hang them in your tank or in a cup of water or whatever. Make sure they're hanging balanced, not when they're dry, but when they're wet. It's the difference. Okay. Now I'll grab one of my 5/32 tungsten beads, the tapered side, slip that in. Now I want it about there. I got to burn it back, so I'm going to trim it just a little bit. Bring in my torch. And I got the distance I want there. Okay. Now, bring in this is some extra small wire, or you can use dubbing brush wire, whatever you like, just to spin a brush. I like always using wire. Makes it very durable. Coloration isn't going to matter too much because you're not going to see it. So a half inch in there. Use dubbing loops, dubbing brush tables. If you're using a standard vise, I would definitely look into a dubbing brush table. Okay, let's bring in our secret sauce here, the UV2 Silex in purple. You're only going to, doesn't really show the colors that well when it's dry or when you don't have the UV light on it, really. That's when it really pops. So I'm going to take these fibers out and just kind of catch maybe a quarter. I got about 3/4 or more hanging out the back end here. Sometimes it gets trapped in there. There we go. Now we going to brush this out. Make sure we got as many fibers sticking out the side as we can here. really, really nice material. Want to make sure we get some of this good long fibers out the back for the tail. Won't have to wrap it too super tight turns. Still got a little glue on there, so that's even going to help it bind it down a little bit too. A couple turns there. Now I'm just going to tie this wire off. Cut that off. Come forward. If you want to make sure, you can throw a little wet finish on that. Just want to make sure it's double secure. Never hurts. I'll straighten up my bobbin here. There we go. It's wrapped around the edge of my frame there for some reason. I just keep going here on these videos. I don't break and redo them. We'll just tie them as I go. Now this front here, I like to use this blend I just created with semi-seal moon rocks. It's got some blue in it, and I put some dark purple seal fur. That's a nice little blend. I'm just going to lay that on top, not very much, about in the center. A soft turn, just envelope the hook, and then hold it back. And we're going to whip finish that off right there with a 3/0 thread. You can use 6/0 if you want to, that's all right. I'm going to pick out my materials here now, just make sure nothing's trapped. It's always good to get as much. I don't want it bound down there. It happens. I see a little bit coming off there. Bring in my brush. Leeches, you want them sparse. Make sure you always stress that. It's almost like streamers, less is more. Okay, the nice little pattern right there. So when you get the UV light on that, it really shows up well. You'll see that in the other picture I'm going to in the demo here. Okay, so there you go. UV balanced leech. Purple's a great color. Go to browns, blacks, olives. There's all kinds of colors in that. So step out, try a few of those different colors as well. You're going to be very, very happy with this fly. It's very productive. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll catch you again real soon.
Here is the materials to create your own balanced leech. Make sure to have plenty of these ready to share with your buddies. Thanks to Brent for demonstrating this favorite with us today. We appreciate you joining us today and hope you visit our online store for some of these custom flies. You can also watch all our TV episodes for the past 26 years and get some instructional segments from our pro team.